Okay, this video is for you if you want to hear from God, but for some reason He's not talking to you. How do you fix the silence of God? For most people, there's a really simple fix, which I'll explain here in just a moment. And if that fix doesn't work, I have a different fix which should work for almost everyone else, and I'll explain that one later in the video. Hi, I'm Dwight Clow, and I believe that our world is messed up, but God is fixing things and we get to help. And the first step to fixing our world is fixing ourselves, and we need to find God's grace to do that. We'll start here. As a rule, God won't speak to you until... Hang around to the end of the video for the rest of that thought. How do you fix the silence of God? Here's what we're going to do. Find a place that's quiet where you won't be interrupted, and then what we'll do is you'll pause the video and you'll ask God a simple question. I'll let you know what that question is in just a moment, but after you ask the question, then you'll wait. You'll give God time to speak. You might or might not hear a quiet voice inside your own mind. You might or might not see some kind of image or video in your own mind. You might or might not have some sudden flash of insight, or something might come into focus for you. You always want to give God time to speak because He might speak right away. By that I mean in the next minute or two. Or He might speak to you sometime in the next couple of days. He might speak when you're all alone with Him, or He might speak through someone else, or through a song, or through an event that happens in your life. Anyway, God is creative. He has all different kinds of ways to speak to His children, so you want to let Him figure out how He's going to speak to you. Okay, you might want to pause the video, get yourself situated, and when you're ready for the question you're going to ask God, go ahead and come back. Okay, ready? Here's the question. Father in heaven, what have you already been saying to me that I have not been willing to hear? Pause the video, ask the question, wait for an answer, and when you're ready, come back. Okay, how did it go? It takes some courage and some humility to ask that question honestly, but I hope you're able to find that courage and find that humility. If you did get an answer from God, it's really important that you talk with God about the answer that you received. That follow-up conversation that you have with God can set you up for some amazing breakthroughs and pave the way for you to have an ongoing conversation with God. If you're not really sure how to do that and you'd like some help with that, let me know in the comments, and I'll be glad to see what I can do to help you. If you did not get an answer from God, no worries. I'll show you a different way to fix the silence of God here in a few moments. First, let me quickly remind you that this video is part of a playlist, How to Fix Everything. I'm in the process of adding more videos to this playlist. If you want more videos like this, there's a link to the playlist in the description. Okay. The question we asked God was, Father in heaven, what have you already been saying to me that I have not been willing to hear? Here's why this question is so important. God wants to have a two-way conversation with us, but sometimes God tries to speak to us and we don't want to hear it for whatever reason. God spoke to Jonah and asked him to go to Nineveh. Jonah didn't want to hear it. And so he ran away, running in the other direction to Tarshish, and God wasn't able to speak to him again until Jonah was ready to hear. Or remember the story of Samuel in the Old Testament. When God first started speaking to Samuel, what needed to happen first? Samuel needed to be quiet, to sit before the Lord and say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." He had to be listening before God was able to speak. Until we listen, God cannot speak, and if we're not willing to hear, we're not listening. Okay, but what if it didn't work? What if you honestly tried this question? What have you already been saying to me that I have not been willing to hear? And nothing. Silence. Crickets. Nothing came into focus. No answer was made available to you. What do you do then? Well, let me suggest an alternative approach for you. This is a solid, safe, reliable way to hear from God and to set up a two-way conversation with God, and it's something that's available to all of us. Every day, read at least one chapter from the Bible, and before you read, just pray a simple prayer. God, this is what I'm about to read. Please open my heart to understand what you are saying to me in this passage. And then, when you finish reading the chapter or whatever the passage that you read, say to God, this is what I read. What do you want me to know? And then wait, give God a chance to speak. Maybe he'll bring into focus some insight from the passage. Maybe he'll speak to you about some way that he wants you to apply the passage in your life. Or maybe he'll talk to you about something entirely unrelated. In any case, when we pay close attention to God's written word, the Bible, we position ourselves to hear what God has to say to each of us. Okay, on to comments. I got this comment from Steve on one of my recent posts. Keep on provoking thoughts that have the potential for people to look in and then up. That's a really good insight, Steve. Many times we need to do exactly that. We want to hear from God, but something inside us is blocking that communication. And so we need to look in and figure out what's going on before we can look up and hear what God has to say. Hey, I love it when you comment. It means a lot to me. Please take the time to do that. I read every one. It helps me make better videos. Check the description. You never know when I'm going to put some goodies in there. And now we come back to our final thought. As a rule, God won't speak to you until, can you guess? Until you're ready to listen. Thanks so much. Much love. Have a fantastic day.